Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Hey Beer Geeks, and welcome to a new version of The Bubble. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and we hope that wherever you are in the world, you have a beer in front of you. It might be on the train, it might be at home, it might be still at work, you might be on your way to the pub for a beer, but we wanted to take about 20 minutes of your time to round up the week and have a chat about what's going on the Craft Beer Channel, and I'm here with Brad.
Howdy everybody.
Howdy.
Nice to be back.
You never say howdy unless we're recording. That's strange.
That's true. I've got a cowboy hat on.
So, well, that's true.
Maybe I have. You don't know.
No, you could be lying. I've got I don't know, those fruit hats that weird women. A deer stalker on. Yeah. So this is a new concept. We wanted to join up our podcast and our YouTube channel a little bit more. We don't get a lot of time to talk and to shoot the shit on the YouTube channel because people's attention spans on YouTube are much shorter than they are in podcast form. So we thought we'd use this to talk about our week, talk about what we've been doing, talk about the videos that have come out recently, and indeed the videos that are going to come out soon. But we're going to keep it short, light, highly energetic, and mostly beer-fueled.
Can we call it Bursting the Bubble, Johnny?
That might have been better than a Friday 5pm name. We'll think about it. Maybe we'll rename it.
Okay.
What are you drinking, Brad?
We're down at Beer Merchant's Tap in Hackney Wick.
Which is our sponsor.
One of our favourite hangouts and favourite sponsors, to be honest. They're great guys.
We don't have favourites among our sponsors, Brad.
They're all great. They're all great guys. But we're drinking Hoos.
Hoos. So Hoos was something I helped conceive when I worked at Cave Direct / Beer Merchants. It's a Belgian pale that we brewed for the launch of the Beer Merchants Tap. And it was a 4-way collaboration, I guess. It was Wild Beer Co., Duration, and Burning Sky, and then us.
It's not a bad lineup, is it?
No, it's all right. And this beer, the version 3, is the best it's tasted. Really lovely aromatics from the yeast, nice and crisp.
Yeah.
Bit of a hazy boy. A hazy crispy boy.
It's a hazy crispy boy.
Yeah, which leads us on to this week's video.
Yeah.
So this week's video, we uploaded a hype train. So hype train is where we go to the breweries to get all the hype and see if they deserve it. And we went to Other Half in New York and we got some cans and sat down in a hotel in Pennsylvania to try them.
Yeah, sorry about the video quality. It was very dark. It was a very dark room.
It was.
In a very dark part of town? I don't know. It was great.
It was the university,
We had a lovely time there.
We did.
It was very overcast that day.
We did, yeah. But also, the rules about drinking in public are pretty stringent in Pennsylvania, so we had to sneak them away in the hotel.
Carrying guns, cool with that.
Yeah, but carrying beers, not so much.
Not so good.
And so we were in the hotel room and we cracked open a delicious New England IPA. Really lovely, really complex aroma. We cracked open what I didn't love, which is a lactose IPA. We'll get into that. But Brad, you liked it, right?
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was solid for me. I would say these guys, for me, the hype train had come off the tracks.
It did on the third beer.
It had crashed.
Yeah.
Certainly crashed. Second beer was good. Third beer, not so much.
No, I think it was one of those things, like where you see a film and you enjoy it during the film and then the more you think about it on the way home, the more you go, actually, that was
trash. It wasn't fulfilling.
Absolute nonsense.
So like a McDonald's Happy Meal, where you're like, this is the best thing in the world, and I got a little plastic toy. And then you eat it and you're like, I don't feel fulfilled.
No.
And the little plastic toy is making me feel dirty because it's going to be on the planet for
forever, longer than
years.
us. Yeah.
and then you've added to the problem.
Yeah, so it's just like a Happy Meal. And
very happy.
we took a pretty strong. Well, I took a pretty strong disliking to it. I thought, somebody in the comments said no, it was on Facebook. I said that it was lacking balance in the video, and they came back at me going, "It's not about balance. Not every beer has to be balanced." And I was like, "No,
that's a fair point."
Well, it is fair in that you can have beers that are, wildly hoppy, wildly funky. That's cool, but even within that, there has to be a semblance of balance where things aren't clashing. Yeah. And within that, so you had a sour beer that had lactose in, which can work, but I don't know, it's not ideal. But rhubarb and custard is a classic sweet and sour thing. Yeah. But then when you're adding coconut, pecans, pumpkin spice,
cinnamon,
almond, cinnamon, all these things, it was a car crash. Mm-hmm. And nobody seemed to disagree with our conclusion on that. However, people did disagree with my idea of balance and also disagreed with our ruminations on lactose in IPA. Mm-hmm. So my issue with lactose in IPA is that the sweetness clashes with the bitterness. So if you have a pudding, you're having, I don't know, a treacle sponge or something, and it's really sweet, and then you have even a lager that's not a very bitter style, it tastes so bitter.
Yeah, it's is it a bit like when you brush your teeth with
orange juice gets really bitter.
And then you get ice, orange juice, you're like, what the fuck, this is horrible. It's kind of that vibe, isn't it?
It is, and that's down to the fact that, toothpaste, it basically shocks your sweet sensors, so biologically, they tuck away so that you're tasting less of the sweetness so you can taste everything else to know if there's poison and stuff. And that's what happens when you brush your teeth, and it takes maybe half an hour to recover or something like that. I feel like that happens in a lactose IPA, that you get all this sweetness and all the sweet stuff disappears and your palate is just left unbalanced, in my opinion.
Is it? Is there so much going on that it just nullifies the senses? Do you go, you get hot blindness, and when you're smelling the different compounds, your nasal receptors just go, right, that's too much, can't smell that anymore.
Yeah.
I think there's too much going on.
Well, that's, I think, why with the crunchy beer, that final beer we had, it had, 11, 12 ingredients?
Yeah, it was
adjuncts in it, rather, not just ingredients. We could only pick out 3 or 4. Yeah,
all I got was a spicy cinnamony thing with a bit peppery kind of stuff. And fucking really crazy sweet. Yeah. Too sweet, way too sweet.
It was an absolute train crash of a beer, and the lactose wasn't the issue, but the lactose is what everybody sort of connected with, because that's in so many different styles. So don't get us wrong, we love lactose in beer. We love it in big stouts, even small stouts, little milk stouts. Yeah. It can work in some sours, although I prefer them without.
It can work in some IPAs as well, can't it?
It's not for me, but I get why people do like it. That's that's where I just get subjective. I'm just like, I don't like it. Lots of people say that if you put lactose, you need bitterness to balance it. I see it the other way. If you've got lactose in, don't add bitterness, because then it clashes. If you're going to go almost no IBUs, then lactose can work for me. But again, it's subjective.
We've just been looking at some low alcohol beers from BrewDog, which were kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. And you always think that they're going to be low alcohol stuff is weak, and it's going to be thin, and it's not going to taste of anything. All of the offerings were amazing body, big flavours, and a lot of that, the body certainly was to do with the lactose.
With the lactose, yeah.
So I think it has a place, and that could be in low alcohol stuff and in certain stuff.
In low and big alcohol, basically. In the middle, I'm not sure what it
adds.
Yeah. So we do have a video based on that BrewDog thing we were just talking about. You might have seen on our social, on our Instagram at Craft Beer Channel, and on Twitter at Beer Channel. We were in some blindfolds in a BrewDog bar. That's going live hopefully on Sunday, pending approval. So you can watch out for that and hear our views on lactose in low ABV beers. This is just a quick message to remind you guys that everything that we do, that's our podcast, our blogs, and indeed our videos on YouTube, are all supported by our friends on Patreon.
Yeah, we really couldn't do it without you guys. You're the lifeblood of the channel, and if you're feeling flush or not particularly that flush, anything you can contribute really helps keep the lights on. What do you get in exchange? You get some awesome merchandise, and you also get that lovely, warm, tingling feeling inside that you're supporting independent content.
Absolutely, I'm feeling warm and tingly right now, and if you are too, head over to patreon.com/craftbeerchannel. But something we wanted to also talk about in this podcast is the comments, so that you guys get some shout outs and we can respond to you guys, not just in the writing that I do in response, but in real life. So we've picked out some comments that we've enjoyed over the last couple of weeks. Usually it'll be every week, but this is the first one. Brad, did you pick out a comment you enjoyed or found interesting?
Well, I guess that was why I just started chirping about that, was basically Johannes was repping pretty hard with his with his comment. The only good IPA with lactose for me is Punk AF, which is
there you go. So that's punk alcohol free.
Which is what we were drinking earlier in the week, and I kind of have to agree with him in a certain way. It was kind of amazing. I'm not going to add any spoilers here, but I certainly liked it.
It was really heartening to get that comment as well, because full disclosure, the video is a sponsored video, so we've been paid for that. And obviously, whenever you do that, you're really worried that people won't take what you say seriously, or you're worried that you've conflicted yourself and you've lost a bit of context. But those low ABV beers are really fucking good.
Sensational.
Yeah. And we're glad that Johannes is repping with us on that. But yeah, no more spoilers about Sunday's video because it's a lot of fun. Our tastes are unconventional. And then, my quote, or my favourite comment, was one that I've been banging hard. What phrase am I looking for there, Brad? Banging the drum hard for. Broadfjord. On our hype train about New Trail Brewing, which was the new exciting brewery in Pennsylvania while we were over there. Says any IPAs, so New England IPAs, are ruining the brewery scene. Long live West Coast IPAs. I can't tell you how many breweries I went to this past year that had 2 or 3 New England IPAs and 0 West Coast IPAs. A truly sad state of affairs.
I wouldn't say they're brewing it, but it's certainly, I love the West Coast stuff. So all this stuff's cyclical. At the minute everyone's all about the hazy boys and all that, but it's going to come back around.
Yeah, for sure, and it's already started. You're seeing all these breweries brewing a West Coast IPA and kind of marketing it as going, "Hey, bitterness is back." My response to Broadfjord was, it's a cool name, but it's hard to say. The variety is key in craft beer. That's where craft beer came from. We got bored of having the same macro lagers all the time, even though some are better than others. We were just bored of the same flavours all the time. So variety is what craft brewers wanted from the start, or at least access to variety. So
we should never really shy away from new styles.
No, exactly that. It's always
if they're
a tool.
Not for you, it's like, fine, just drink what you like to drink.
Which is why it's annoying, I guess, that New England IPAs are everywhere, because if you don't like that style, it is tending to take up the taps. But 10 years ago, West Coast IPA was everywhere. Maybe if people don't love bitterness, that was annoying for them, and everything comes back into balance. So hopefully, fingers crossed, in a year or two's time, once that trend for bitterness has come back a bit, you'll go to a bar and there'll be 2 or 3 New Englands, 2 or 3 West Coasters, 2 or 3 Pilsner. Oh, this is getting to be a big bar, but you've got a representation of all the different kinds of IPAs in its different forms. You're getting Pilsners. Everyone says it's going to be year of the lager. We've never had year of the lager, but we've had a phase of lager where now there are some good Pilsners and Hellers.
Certainly not in the UK, we haven't. But if you go out to Central Europe.
Oh, in Europe, it's always year of the lager. Yeah, they still know where it's at. And in certain parts of America, we discovered Notch. You've got Bierstadt, you've got Jack's Abbey, you've got all these breweries who are making stellar stuff. Also, lots of breweries in America making fucking awful lager because they don't understand what it's supposed to be. They're putting New World hops in it and all this kind of nonsense. Sorry, nonsense, that's dismissive. But maybe not traditional, and maybe misunderstanding that if you put something huge into a very clean base, it's going to all be about that huge hop suddenly.
Yeah, no balance.
Yeah, which is not exactly that. Which is cool, but really should be looking at it from the other point of view, which is if you're going to put big hops into a Pilsner, you should be advertising that as a pale ale, really. You should be going, we want these big hops, but we want it to be crisp, so we use a lager yeast. Don't start calling it a Pilsner or a Bohemian Pilsner.
A New World lager or something
because it's not going to be anything like it. So I thought that comment was interesting. I think he's right at the moment, and I really hope that it's going to change for us and for Broadfjord and for everybody else in the world, that variety is key, and hopefully we'll come back to that. It is a bit dominated by big hazy IPAs at the moment.
I quite like Broadfjord's name. My name, Bradley, is Old English for broad field.
No way, Bradley?
Yeah. Bradley means broad field.
Wow.
Apparently in Old English.
See, we're not just drinking, we're learning.
Broadfield. We've got a kindred spirit there, in that we're both wide. And we like beer.
Okay. Fjords. Is that the name for the mountain bit, or is that the name for the water bit?
The water bit.
It's the name for the water bit.
It's the cutout. Well, I'm saying like I know.
That's what you think.
I've been on a fjord cruise with my family, which
Right.
was amazing, with my mum and dad. And I actually went to what's it called? Stavanger.
I knew you were going to say Stavanger.
Yeah, it was amazing.
You did go to
It was
Lervig.
amazing. I did go to Lervig.
You did go to Lervig.
This is pre-craft beer channel.
Ah.
So I was like,
There was a time.
I was like, this is tasty beer, but I don't really know about it.
Wow, I did
great.
not know that.
Yeah, it was
Because
good.
you went with your mum.
Yeah, I
couple of
went
years
with my
ago.
mum a few years ago. Yeah, I lost my dad, but we did the same trip again, and it was amazing. But yeah, it was fucking cool. And I remember years ago I went in some sort of mad, almost like a Viking teepee thing near the brewery. I don't know if it's still there. It had all like carvings and stuff in it. Might have been a fever dream, I'm not sure. maybe I got sick off the 24-hour buffet on the cruise, I don't know.
Or all the fermented fish you ate, I presume.
Killer bean. Oh, no thanks.
That story reminds me of the glorious moment of serendipity we had with Ned in our cheese and beer matching,
weird.
where he brought out a bottle opener that was a herring, and he was like, this is from a place called Stavanger, you probably haven't been there. And Brad was like, I went there with my parents a couple of years ago, I've been to the Herring Museum, and I was like, that's where Lervig are, we're about to drink a beer by Lervig, and everyone's minds
The universes
exploded.
were like something aligned there.
Yeah, it was
the
crazy.
three of us aligned, it was good. Ned was like an old crazy, amazing hippie guy, wasn't he?
He's one of those guys who you meet and you feel like you've known him for years.
Yeah,
Just that genuinely
cool.
warm, enthusiastic, interesting guy that just you can't fail to connect with.
I mean, cheese. We all love cheese,
And we
right?
all love
But
cheese,
he
except for vegans.
gives them names, he has intimate relationships
They're friends.
with them.
The
They're
cheese
friends
is
of
friends.
his.
I wish we could be friends with beer, but there's just too many of them. It's like going to a party and you get introduced, but you never remember who they are after a
That's
minute.
true, I certainly don't.
Yeah.
I guess that's why you write them all down on Untapped, right?
I am on Untapped, but I am a sporadic user.
Yeah.
But you can find me on Johnny's CBC if you want to follow my sporadic tap-ins?
Nice.
Check-ins.
Check-ins.
Don't even know the terms, Brad. I'm no untapper.
We
Right.
went- it was interesting, just on that sort of topic. Do you remember when we went out to Pentaluma and all around that county?
Out in California, yeah.
Out in California. We went to the Rate Beer Festival years ago.
We did.
Is that gone now? That
Yeah, it
doesn't
doesn't happen
exist
anymore. After the sale to AB InBev, I don't think they could get people to come back.
That was that was like our first big West Coast thing that we did, I think.
It's the only time we've been to the West Coast together, yeah.
We'd love to come back this year, hopefully. But it was kind of mad, the level of geekery I found at that festival.
It was, I mean, actually, the only place I've been that was more nerdy was What's Brewing in Stavanger.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Where they had a projection of the Untapped boards where they were tracking the best beers at the festivals.
Oh, wow.
And also, you could, when you came in, you got a rating card. So it told you what was on tap and also gave you space to make notes. Like, that's how geeky What's
Yeah.
Brewing was.
That's a bit camera though, isn't it?
It's a little bit camera. Yeah, I mean, it's
Did
totally
they have
camera.
the 10p on the cards where they put 10p in lines of 10s?
What?
And then you tick it, you cross it off. When you buy like £5 worth of card when you go into a Canberra Beer Fest, and then every 10p. Well, the Pig's Ear one in East London.
I don't know about that
did
one.
that. Anyway, I've gone a bit off.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So they do a card. It looks a bit like a bingo card.
Right.
And you give the nice old man at the counter £5.
Yeah.
And he'll give you back the bingo card, and it's got 5 lines of these 10p. So there's 10 squares per line.
Yeah.
Each one's got 10p written in them.
Yeah.
And then whenever you go up and get a third or a half or whatever, or a pint, if you're feeling particularly flush
Yeah.
or brave, then they tick off. So say it costs 60p, they just run a line through 6 of them.
Oh, right, so that's how they
60p
do the
off.
currency there.
That's the currency.
Right.
So
I
this-
feel you could have explained that much quicker.
Yeah. Oh no, but I like a ramble chat. But,
You did. It's a podcast after all.
In a post-Brexit world, I think we're all going to. This is the new currency. It's
Pen
going to
and
be,
paper.
it's going to be run by people with little bingo tickets that have got like 10p.
interestingly,
well,
in-
probably 2p. It's going to be 2p's. We haven't
in-
had any money.
In the Czech Republic, they do that already in bars where when you sit down at Local and a couple of other bars, they'll just put a bit of paper that has lots
Yeah.
of drawings of a mug, and every time you order one, they tick it off. And then that's how they do the check at the end. They look at how many pints they've crossed out as they talk them over.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good. I didn't not like it. I must say, I found it quite fun when you're getting retro. Pissed and you're looking at, oh, I could get that one. That one's £1.10p, and I've got £1.20p left, so I'll get one of those.
That'd just leave you with 10p, wouldn't it?
I know.
That'd be nonsense.
And then you have to start again. You have to give them another £5, Johnny.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. That's
Everyone's
how they get
trying
you back
to complete the card and no longer. Yeah.
Pokemon style.
Yeah. Right. So in the essence of trying to keep it short and sweet, next week's video we're talking about saisons. Saison's a much misunderstood style. We're going to go through that and explain to you what a traditional saison is, what a modern saison is, and what now a postmodern saison is. Because those are all three different things. Brad's looking at me like I'm mad, but I'm going to explain myself when we shoot
saison. I'm interested about this. It's like an art movement.
Exactly, yeah. And then we've got our video coming out on Sunday, hopefully, that will be a lot of fun. Beyond that, we don't quite know what we're doing, but we've got lots of projects in the pipeline. We've got a documentary in the planning and lots of other stuff coming, so watch out for that. Otherwise, guys, please do follow us on all our other media. Obviously, head to the YouTube channels to hear what we've been talking about. There'll be all the videos we mentioned will be in the show notes. And make sure you hit us up on Twitter @BeerChannel, Instagram @CraftBeerChannel, and on Facebook. We're always there. Otherwise, we will see you next Friday at 5 p.m. with a beer in hand.